Good day, everyone. So we were discussing about the project scope management, and we have the several approach to develop a work breakdown structure using the guidelines, analogy approach, the top-down approach, the bottom-up approach, and the mind mapping approach. Using the guidelines, when organization prepared guidelines to create the work breakdown structures. For the example, the U.S. Department of Defense or the DoD under approach to work breakdown structures. The DoD describes the form of content for WBS for specific project they are involved in. For many DoD project, the contractors are required to prepare their proposal based on the WBS provided by the DoD. This means the DoD has standardized the WBS format and the content for a certain types of project they are commonly work on. By providing the WBS structures, the DoD ensures consistency across contractors, proposals, and make it easier to evaluate and compare the cost estimates and submitted by the different contractors. The contractors have to align their own projects and the cost estimated with the DoD's prescribed WBS rather than creating a unique WBS from the scratch. This approach helped the DoD maintain better control and visibility over the scope and cost of the projects decommissioned from external contractors. The DoD the DoD takes a prescriptive approach to WBS for their project, providing the structures upfront to contractors to ensure standardization and facilitate proposal evaluation. This is an example of using guidelines to develop the WBS as mentioned earlier in the document. The DoD approach to cost estimate and evaluating proposals, and the contractors must provide cost estimate at the both a detail level for each individual task in WBS and summary level for all overall project. The total project cost is calculated by summing up the cost all over lower level tasks in WBS. But when the DoD evaluates the cost proposal from the contractors, they compare the contractor's cost to the DoD's own internal cost estimate. So a large variation for or the discrepancy in the cost for a particular WBS task often indicates that there is a confusion or misunderstanding about the specific work that needs to be done for that task. The reasoning behind this approach is the detailed WBS allows the DoD to examine the cost breakdown and ensure the contractors have accounted for all necessary work, comparing the total project cost to the sum of individuals task cost help identifying the missing or or underestimate work. So there's a significant difference in cost for specific WBS. Uh, the signal a potential scope definition or requirement issue that needs to be resolved. For this level of cost breakdown and comparison, helps the DoD ensure that the contractors have properly defined and the project scope and estimated effort accurately. So it allows the DoD to identify and address the gaps of misunderstanding before the work begins. On the case study of Kim Nguyen and key team members for the opening case should review their company WBS guidelines, templates, and other related information before and during the team meetings to create their WBS. In the opening case study, Nguyen is leading an IT upgrade project at her organization. To create their project, the passage suggests that Kim and her key team members should this the following. So, first, review their company's existing WBS guidelines and templates. So, many organizations provide standardized guidelines and templates of for how to structure and format the WBS for their project. Second, the reviewing these internal resources can help Kim and her team align their WBS with the company's preferred approach. So refers to this information before and during the team meetings. Before the team meetings, Kim and the leaders of can familiarize themselves with the company's WBS guidelines and templates. During the actual team meetings to develop the WBS, they can refer back to the resources to ensure that they are the following the right process format. This approach has several benefits. It ensures the WBS being created aligns with the organization standard and expectation. It provides a starting point and structure for the team to work within. So it promotes a consistency across the project within the company and make it easier for the organization to review and approach or approve the final WBS. So by leveraging the company existing WBS related information, Kim and her team can develop WBS and it's real structured, comprehensive, and compliant with organizational requirements. This can help set the project up for success from the scope management perspective. W WBS practice standards. It provides guidance on developing and applying the work breakdown structure in project management. It includes samples WBS for a wide range of project type and industry such as web designing project, telecommunication, service industry, outsourcing projects, software implementation projects. So the purpose of this sample WBS is to serve as templates or example that project teams can refer to when creating their own WBS. Having access to this industry specific WBS, it it samples can very helpful. It gives project teams starting point at and demonstration how WBS concept can be applied on the different contexts. The sample WBS provide level of standardization and consistency which can be beneficial especially for organization that execute similar types of project repeatedly. So by leveraging the guidance and an example, the WBS practice standard project teams can easily develop and comprehensive and well-structured WBS of their project. So the WBS project standard acts as a valuable reference resources, providing project managers with the sample of WBS across various industries to help them build an effective work breakdown structures for their own project. This can streamline the WBS develop process and promote these practices. This might be very helpful if you have similar project. You could tailor to this project. So, for example, um, a McDonnell Aircraft Company, now part of the Boeing, use an analogy approach when creating the work breakdown structure or the WBS for new aircraft design project. For the analogy approach, um, the analogy approach it involves using similar previous completed uh, a project as template for creating the WBS of a new project. So this help past experience and established structures rather than starting from the scratch. So for the McDonnell aircraft companies um, approach, the company had designed and manufactured several different fighter aircraft in the past. So, when creating the WBS for a new aircraft design project, this started by using 74 predefined subsystems that were commonly used in the previous fighter aircraft projects. So, at level 2 of the WBS, they had a generic airframe item. So, this airframe item was then broken down into more specific level 3 items such as a forward fuselage, center fuselage, or aft fuselage and wings. So, the generic product orientation in WBS provide a solid starting point for defining a scope of a new aircraft project. It helps also in developing accurate cost estimate for a new aircraft design, as the team could leverage the historical data and experience from the previous similar project. So the McDonnell Aircraft Company was able to create a comprehensive WBS for new aircraft design project more effectively, more efficiently, without having to build the entire structure from the scratch. This approach allows them to leverage their existing knowledge and experience, which is a key advantage of the analogy method of WBS development. On the project, in the open case, could apply the analogy project to developing the work done structure for her IT upgrade project. So, in Kim situations, Kim is leading an IT upgrade project at her organization. To create the WBS for this project, she and her team need to determine the appropriate structure and level to level of detail. So the passage suggests that Kim could use the analogy approach to develop the WBS So it involves finding similar IT project that has done previously. So either within her own organization or by one of her organization suppliers. Kim learns that one of her organization suppliers had completed a similar IT upgrade so project on the previous year. So she could reach out to the supplier and request a copy of the WBS they use for their IT project of IT upgrade project. By obtaining the supplier's WBS, Kim and her team can use this as starting point for developing the WBS of their own IT upgrade project. So this allows also them to leverage the work already done by the supplier rather than having to build the WBS from the scratch. So by using the supplier's WBS template can save time and also effort in WBS development process. So it also helps ensure that Kim's team does not miss any critical task or scope um, eliminates scope elements that as the supplier WBS has already been tested and proven for a similar context. The analogy approach allows schemes team to build an established best practices and learns from the previous project. So by following the analogy approach, Kim Nguyen can jumpstart the WBS creation process of her IT upgrade project. So making it more efficient and effective effective by the work done by her organization and organization suppliers on the similar endeavor. So the top down approach is developing by WBS. So in the top down approach, the project team begins the identifying and the largest of the most high level tasks or modules within the project. So these are the major components or deliverables that encompasses overall project scope. Once the key high level tasks are identified, the team then breaks down into this larger task into the smaller from the large to smaller manageable tasks or work as packages. So this process decomposition to continues until the WBS reaches the desired level of the detailed. So the top-down approach requires more on logic and structures and its execution. The team needs carefully considered on how to best break down larger into smaller or more specific components. So this structure approach help ensure the WB is comprehensive and cohesive. So the top-down approach is generally a preferred method by creating a WBS. So the key characteristic of the top-down approach is that um, it starts by identifying the overall solution or end product or the end product first. It then works backward, breaking down the solution into the specific steps and tasks needed to implement. So the top-down approach of to WBS development begins with a high-level project scope and progressively decomposes into a smaller, so more manageable work elements. This structured and logical method is often considered and preferred approach for creating comprehensive and well-organized work breakdown structure. The bottom-up approach, um, the bottom-up approach can be used develop the WBS for an e-commerce application project. So the example starts with the business analyst and a hardware specialist on the project team. So this team members can identify the specific tasks and did no need to be done. So such as defining users, requirements, content requirements, system requirements, and server requirements. So initially, the team groups these four specific tasks under the high-level item called defined requirements. This create W this creates a WBS element that will result in the delivery of the requirements document. Later, the team realized that uh, define defined requirements tasks should actually fall under the a broader category or a concept design for the e-commerce application. So this indicates that the team taking a step back or look at the bigger picture on how the specific task fit into overall project scope. So the bottom-up approach demonstrate the WBS development. So the team starts with the specific known task and then groups them together into high-level WBS elements. For example, shows that the WBS is not static. The team may need to revisit or reorganize the WBS elements as understanding of the project involves. So in this case, the defined requirements task was later moved under the broader concept design category. The bottom up approach allows the team leverage uh, to their specific domain knowledge to identify the necessary tasks and the gradually build up the WBase structures. This can be useful method, especially when the overall project's scope in is not yet fully defined. However, um, it requires the team to periodically step back and ensure the WBS aligns with the broader project goals and scope. Okay, so the IT project decategorized into four. The project management, install hardware and software, and also upgrade the inventory, and acquired hardware and software. So from the upgrade inventory, so they also subcategory for the perform physical inventory, and from the perform physical inventory, so they also have the subcategory. So building A, building B, or the building C. So from the upgrade inventory, they have also the update database. So and also we have the acquired hardware and software. So they have also the subcategory for a server and user hardware. And from the user hardware, they have the laptops and desktop. Okay, the image shows on how Gantt chart can be generated from the work breakdown structure that was created using a mind mapping technique. So here's an example of the key points of mind map to WBS. So the mind mapping software, in this case, Matchware MindView 4 allows the project team to develop WBS structure visually using the mind map. The hierarchical branching structure of the mind mapping translate directly into the WBS elements. So from WBS to Gantt chart, once the WBS is established, using the mind mapping approach, the software can generate the corresponding Gantt chart visualization. From the Gantt chart represent the project should the project schedule with the task of subtask and subtask from the WBS displayed as bar along the timeline. So by using the mind mapping tool like MindView 4, the project team can seamlessly transition from defining the WPS, creating the project schedule in the form of Gantt charts. This integration between WBS and Gantt chart enables more effective project planning and management. The Gantt chart provides a clear visual presentation of the project timeline, task dependencies, and projects. This can help the project team and stakeholder better understanding and communicate the project plan. So, as the WPS update and refine the mind mapping software, they can also corresponding Gantt chart will also automatically update. So, this allow the project team to quickly see the impact of changes the WBS on the overall project schedule. So, the mind mapping approach to WBS development combine and the automated generation of a Gantt chart enables to seamless and integrated project management workflows. This can this can improve and efficiently and effectiveness of project planning and execution. The WBS dictionary is a document that provides detailed information about each WBS item. So, the format of WBS dictionary can vary based on the project needs. It might be appropriate to have a short paragraph describing each work package. So, the WBS dictionary serves as a document and, describe to the scope and content of each WBS item in the details. So, it also helps ensure a clear and comprehensive understanding of the work that needs to be performed and each element of the project. So, one common approach is to have a short paragraph describing each work, project, or a package or WBS description. The sample WBS dictionary, this is the detailed description of a specific work package or the WBS item, likely titled the update database, um, within the larger IT project. So, the IT department currently maintain online database hardware and software used across the organization. So before the IT upgrade can have the plan and team needs to ensure they have the accurate and update information and hardware and software currently being used by employees. So this includes understanding any unique requirements or needs that a department may have. So the task involves reviewing the existing database, producing reports on department level hardware and software usage, and updating the data after the physical inventory is conducted. It also includes updating the inventory information for network, hardware, and software. So the advice for creating a WBS dictionary, uh, a unit of work should appear once. So which means each specific unit of work should appear in one place within WBS. This ensure there is no duplication or overlapping in the defined scope. The work content in is some of the work level tasks. The work content of a higher level WBS item should be the sum of all the lower level tasks and subtasks beneath it. So it helps maintain a clear and comprehensive representation of the project scope. Even though the multiple people may work on WBS item, it should have only one person assigned on the responsibility party. So it promotes clear ownership and accountability of each work package. For the scope validation, involves formal acceptance and completed project deliverables. So this example illustrate a case significant scope creep that ultimately lead to the termination of a major project at McDonald's. So in 2001, McDonald's initiate projects to create comprehensive intranet system. So the goal was to connect all 30,000 of the restaurants worldwide. So within the company's headquarters. So the intranet was supposed to provide detailed real-time operation information to the headquarters. These include tracking metrics like sales performance and grill temperature and every single restaurant. So the project was extremely large in scale, aiming to integrate all 30,000 restaurants across more than 120 countries. So McDonald's admitted that the project was too large. No, this is too large in scope to be effectively managed. Then McDonald's spent um, $170 million on the consultant and initial implementation planning for the project. After the significant investment, McDonald's ultimately realized that the project was too much for them to handle. They made the decision to terminate the project as the scope had become unmanageable. So this example demonstrate the risk of scope creep where the where a project scale and complexity grows far beyond the original plan. So despite the substantial initial investment, McDonald's recognized that the project had become too ambitious and was no longer feasible to execute successfully. So the key lesson is the importance of carefully defining the managing project scope, especially for large scale or the enterprise-wide initiatives. So failing to do so can lead to the project becoming uncontrollable and ultimately being abandoned, resulting in wasted time and resources. So controlling the scope is a key aspect of project management that involves managing changing to project while keeping overall project goals and business strategy in mind. So the goal controlling scope is to influence factors that can use changes to the project scope. This includes managing requirements, stakeholder expectation, and their elements that can lead to scope creep. Controlling scopes involves ensuring that any changes of the project scope are processed according to the established change control procedures. So it goes to influence the factors that cause the scope changes. The outputs of the scope control include work performance information, change request, project management plan updates, project document updates, and updates to organizational process assets. So effective scope controlling is essential for the project. So success, and it helps prevent scope creep, maintain project element, and ensure the final deliverables to meet the customers and organization needs. It requires a structured change management process and a focus on preserving the project strategic value. So to ensure that changes are processed according to the procedures developed as part of integrated change control and to manage changes when they occur. This this example for the variance analysis. In variance refers to the difference between the plan or expected. So it performance and the actual performance. In the example provided, the variance in the difference between the planned quantity, the 5 special keyboard, and the actual quantity received 4 keyboards. Calculating the variance, in this case, the variance is 1 keyboard as the supplier delivered 4 keyboards instead of the planned 5 keyboards. So the output of the scope control process, it includes work performance information, data on actual performance compared to the planned performance. So change request, the formal request to modify the project scope, schedule, or other aspects. So the project management plan updates to the overall project management plan to reflect scope changes. Project document updates, revision project related documents such as scope statement, organizational process updates to the organization policies, procedures, and historical information. So the variance analysis is the key part of scope control as it helps the project team identify and understand the deviation from the planned scope. So this information can help used to assess the impact of the variance, determine the appropriate corrective actions, and update the the project manage the project management plan accordingly. So by monitoring and analyzing the variance, the project team can maintain better control over the project scope, identifying the potential issue earlier, and make informed decision to keep project on track. The outputs of the scope control process help documents and communicate these scope-related changes under implication. So, suggestion for improving user inputs. So, develop the good project selection process. It includes user on the project team, conduct regular meeting with defined agendas, deliver something to users and sponsor regularly, manage expectation, co-locate users with developers. By implementing these suggestions, project teams can improve user engagement, manage expectation, and incorporate their feedbacks more effectively. So this can lead to a better defined project scope and ultimately higher scope in success rate. Suggestion for reducing incomplete and changing requirements. Develop and follow the requirements management process that includes the procedure for determining the initial requirements. It employs techniques such as prototyping, use case modeling, and joint application design to understand user requirements thoroughly. Put all requirements in writing and keep them current and readily available. Create and requirements management database for documenting, controlling requirements. Use a process of for reviewing requirements change from the system respective. Using software to assist in the project scope management, word processing software, the spreadsheet software, presentation software, mind mapping software, email, and assorted web-based application, project management software. So this the case wrap up. So in the provide scenario, Kim Nguyen, the project manager, demonstrate effective project management practices in initiating a project with a focus on creating work breakdown structure and defining project scope. So Kim reviews the WBS creation guidelines from the various resources and collaborates with the three teams leaders to gather input on the project approach. So they collectively review sample documents to guide structuring of the project. The team decides on the major groupings for the projects. So include updating the inventory database, acquiring necessary hardwares and softwares, installing hardwares and software, and project management activities. And Kim leads meeting with the entire project team, includes virtual attendance to discuss the project charter, stakeholder register, and the basic approach for requirements collection defining the project scope. She reviews sample WBS to provide a visual representation of the project structure. Overall, Kim approach to involving key stakeholder, providing their guidance, and fostering collaboration among team members. It's a solid foundation for the project by leveraging the collective expertise and engagement of the team. Ensure Kim ensures that project is on the right track from the outset. So, in chapter summary, so the project scope is a critical aspect of the management, project management that involves defining the controlling that is included in the project, ensuring that all necessary work is completed successfully. So the main process involved in the project scope management, so they have the, the planning, scope management, or the project scope management. The first step in the project management is the planning scope management. So the project team reviews information and uses expert judgment and meeting to help create a scope management and plan requirements management. So by collecting requirements, so it's a crucial part of many IT projects. So it is important to review the project charter and meet the key stakeholder listed in the stakeholder register when collecting requirements. So the main outputs of this process are requirements, documents, and requirements, the traceability metrics. So by following this process, so the project managers can effectively define, manage, and control the project scope to ensure a successful project delivery within the defined parameters and requirements. Proper project scope management is a crucial for project success as it helps prevent scope creep, ensures stakeholders alignment, and enables project teams to deliver intended project outcomes. So a project scope statement is a critical document created during the scope definition process in the management project. So this document serves as a foundation reference that outline the parameters, deliverables, and boundaries of the projects. So the WBS the work breakdown structure is a deliverable oriented grouping of the work involved in the project and defines its total scope. And a good WBS is often difficult um, to create because of the complexity of the project. There are several approaches to developing a WBS, including using guidelines and analogy to approach the top-down approach, in the bottom-up approach, and the mind mapping. Validation scope involves a formal acceptance of the completed project deliverables. Controlling scope involves controlling changes to the project scope. So, a poor project scope management is one of the key reasons projects fail. For IT projects, it is important for good project scope management to have strong user involvement, executive support, and clear statement of requirements, and a process for managing scope changes. So many software products are available to assist in the project scope management. The WBS is the key concept in properly using project management software because it provides the basis of entering tasks. And that's all. Thank you and have a nice day.